Hello everyone, this is Crystal Potthoff from Prayerful Arts, and today I'm going to do another pattern that was inspired by a viewer. Last week we did this one. I'm going to bounce back and forth over the next few weeks between these two patterns. I did this one last week and it was drawn on an 8x8 grid. There's two ways to do it, one where you draw it on the equator, which is what we did here, and another is to draw it above and below the equator. I'm going to show above and below the equator next week. For this week, I'm going to do a different pattern that was inspired by Laura, and it is something, it's going to be something similar to this. I've been playing around with it. So it's going to be similar to this. And when she sent me the cover of this book that she had seen, let me show you the book, because I had been wanting this book. And so when she said, hey, I'm like, this is an excuse to buy this book. It's called Decorating Eggs, Exquisite Designs with Wax and Dye, and it is by Jane Pollack. And let me see if I can. Oop, wrong way. Okay, that's as much as I can get. I can't get the whole thing in there. I had been wanting this book, so it was like, okay, I think this is my reason now that I should go get this book. It's a beautiful book. She's got a lot of beautiful pictures. She gives some tips on how to do pisanki. She has a lovely story about how she became involved with, how she learned about it and how it developed in her life. And so that in itself is really cool. Beautiful pictures, some instructions, and she talks a lot about a section about inspiration, and your designs for your pisanki are, you see pictures and then you're inspired. So I saw these pictures and this was my inspiration for it. And this particular one, like this one and this one, are quilt patterns. Some of these others are quilt patterns too, I'm sure. And I've been doing quilt inspired patterns, so it was just such a joy. I've read a little bit of it. I haven't read all of it yet, but I'm looking forward to really getting into this book again. This was by Schiffer Publishing, and I did buy it through Amazon because I couldn't find it in a local bookstore. So, but there are other places to buy it too, and I wanted it fast. So, but anyway, so that's the inspiration for this egg. So what I ended up figuring out for me, this is how I did it, and I'm sure there's other ways to do it. I'm not the purveyor of all pisanki knowledge, but this ended up being a 4x4 grid. And how I did this is I divided the egg into four sections, going this way and that way, and then the equator. And then I divided each of those four sections into four, and then I stopped. Where on the previous one, I had divided it into 8. So this one is 4x4, and I'm going to say ish for this particular one. On the one I'll do next week, it's more important that it be 4x4 all the way up. But on this one, it looks a little goofy when I draw it out because we're going to want the top and bottom. On here, I didn't do it, but on the one I've got drawn out, these are going to be all the way up here. I'm not going to have this open spot. You could. Yeah, you absolutely could. And so mine will not have this section here because what I am doing is a pattern that looks more like this. So you'll see it as I draw it. So I have 4x4. So we have, here's 4. Oh, you can't really see that. Okay. Well, so here's 4, and here's 4. And then this I actually made 6 just because it's going to be longer. But now you have to envision that, those are really curving up that way. And then obviously I have the lines in here. So the first thing I did was I drew this diamond shape right there. And I probably didn't have to grid it all the way out, but because I wanted these to be even, I used the grid to help me draw that. So I drew those, and then we'll go ahead and draw these up here too. Right? Okay. And of course down here at the bottom. And then technically there'd be another one out here because there'd be 4 going around it and they'd all meet up. So the next thing I'm going to do is draw in here. I'm going to draw an X, and I'll go ahead and do that in all of them. Now we're going to make these arches. And depending on how much space you want in here is how big you'll draw that. This is how I drew it here. You can play around with it. Definitely play around with this on paper. So we're going to draw from this point to this point. And I used my grid lines to give me an idea how much I wanted to go up. So if this was a grid line, I went just a little bit above it and it touched there. And then I went to this point and I drew a line like that. And then I did the opposite down here. So I started this one, and you do have to pay attention that you're going to the same one. And then I drew this one. And then I drew this one. Now we're going to draw them going this way. So here, it's going to, so wherever there's a point on here, you're going to have two lines meeting. Well, at least in the center, not so much up here. Okay, so this is going to go from here up to here, and then here, and then from here to there. And you can see I'm kind of using these grid lines to help me get somewhat even curvy shapes. All right. I added these lines in here after I drew out all of this. Honestly, once I got this part figured out, and it happened on the egg from the previous week, like once I got it figured out, it's like, oh yeah, that's easy. It wasn't easy figuring it out, but I did get it. Playing around with the color scheme was a little more challenging for me. So you'll really have to think about your color schemes. What I had done was I made little initial marks in these, like what color I wanted them all to be. I'm going to try something different on the egg we're going to do this week. But so, okay, so now let's get ready to get started on the egg. Okay, so we're back to drawing it on our egg. I've sketched it in, but I will be making some changes. So to keep in line with what we have here, I'm going to draw this. This is my diamond. And I'm going to draw these lines. And I'll do that all the way around. I'm using a watercolor pencil, and I'm drawing very darkly. I may lighten this up just a little bit. I have been experimenting using watercolor pencils to draw the lines, and it does work But if you draw darkly like this, it can leave some residue, so I may rinse it just so it's a little bit lighter. So we have the 4 going around the equator. Now at the top, even though I drew one here, you're really only drawing 1 at the top. And you got to kind of, because your squares are getting smaller going up, you just have to kind of pick where it looks the most even with these. You do want wherever the point is here to line up with the point here. Do I need that? Yes. Okay. And I'll draw that, and then we'll do the same thing down here on the bottom. And again, pencil lines are just guides. What matters is where you put the wax. Okay. Now we are going to draw the other lines. So this is going to go from here, from the center of the diamond to the center of the diamond over there. So it's going to go like that, and then like that, that, and that. Now we'll do the same thing over here. All right. Now let's do this one. So this one is going to go from here to here. So it's going to go like that, and then like that, and then there, and then it's going to go over to here. And we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Okay. Now let's do another one. So we already have that part done. So we'll draw this one. This way you can see how they meet together at the top and the bottom. So now this one is going to go from here to here. So it's going to go like that, and like that, and there, and there. So now I have this diamond shape, or not diamond, I have this triangle shape here in the middle, which is what I wanted. And then we'll do this. And that. All right. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it on the rest of it, and then I haven't really experimented with this, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to lightly wash it. It didn't curve out very well. I'm going to lightly rinse it to see if I can lighten up the lines and still be able to see them. So I'm going to do that next, and I'll come back and show you what happened. I might be redrawing all my lines again. That's okay, you know, practice makes perfect, right? All right, we'll see what happens. So I rinsed it off. It's lighter. We'll see what happens. Okay. So I think I forgot to mention, but thank you, Laura, for this inspiration. This was a lot of fun to play around with, and I just see so many possibilities in this. So this is the first of many. All right. So what we're going to do first is wax the diamond. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm using my Luba's Electric with the fine tip. And it appears to be a little bit of the, I put in some of the spaghetti wax, but I must have already had some of the Ukrainian Accessories blue wax in there because it has a blue tinge to it, which is fine. Oh, the top erased more than the bottom. Okay, it's okay. We're going to make it work. And then the next thing is we're going to draw the X in the middle. Two, three, four, and the top. All right, so let's start drawing. This pattern is so interesting to me because you end up with circles even though you didn't draw a circle. It reminds me some of the four circle division that I did, where you draw circles, you end up with circles without drawing a circle. So there's one, because you have a circle, like you end up with this circle right here. And now we're going to draw the ones that go up to here. Oops, started in the wrong. I like to start with the outer one. I started on the inner one. It didn't really matter. I guess when I do these, I try to be consistent in how I draw it so that I don't miss anything. And even then, I still miss some stuff. Okay. All right. So let's do one more so we make the triangle. And one of the ideas in the book here by Jane Pollack was to enhance the fact that this is a quilting design. And what she did was in this area, she put these little dashed lines to make it look like stitching. So I'm going to do that. Mine aren't quite as nice as hers, but they're good. They're good. All is good. So this will all be white at the end. Okay. I'm going to finish drawing it and then, or waxing it, and then come back and talk about putting stuff in this in these areas here. All right, so we have all the lines drawn on there. And since I've already done this stitching, I'm kind of committed to it. But another thing I thought would look really nice in there is maybe a wavy line would look cool in there too. Now, and I suppose I could do it in this section, but I'm not going to. What I found for this pattern was you really have to kind of think about what colors do you want where. Some of them in the book here by Jane, she used a lot of the white from the shell, but you need to think about that because let me bring the book out. So like on this one, it looks like she did the lines in maybe a like a brownish color or maybe a gold, and then she did the white part, and then she did the colors. This one, it looks kind of similar because this area white, you can kind of see the line in there. So you just have to think about how do you want to do this. I've drawn I have drawn it with white lines, so I'm going to do something different in my color scheme, and that's kind of making it my own. But I do like the idea. Originally, when I was trying to do this, I was trying to figure out, well, if this circle is that color and that circle is that color, how do I make it? And it just drove me nuts. I thought, okay, I'm going to put these little lines in here. So what I'm going to do, this one I kind of evenly spaced them, but on this one, I think I'm going to put I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that all the way around. What helped me was to finally think about where the diamond is in the center to make that some completely different color. And I kind of did it here. It's like a red. That was on a brown egg, so it's not, the colors aren't as intense. They're a little bit muted. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing here. But it's going to leave this space here. And I don't really care if these aren't exactly the same. I'll show you what I mean. Here and here. If they line up, fine. If they don't, that's okay. I'm trying to make it look a little random, a planned random. How about that? We'll call it that. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do that all the way around. And I'm going to do this stitching. And then I'm going to dye it in my first color. Because I have so much white on here, I'm not going to use yellow. I've been doing a series of pink eggs for an event, so I might try to use the light pink for the. I have a color called very light pink, which is a tablespoon of the prepared pink dye from Ukrainian Gift Shop, a tablespoon of vinegar, and a cup of water. So I think I'm probably going to do that first, and then do some other shades of pink and purple and maybe green. We'll see where I go, but I'm going to do these little lines, going to do the stitching, and then I'm going to dye it in the first color. So here it is. It's in the light pink. Very pretty color. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the light pink in these here. So I'm going to put it, okay, I'm going to switch to my medium kistka. And where I'm going to put this, so I made these 3 little lines here, so I'm going to put some here. And I think I'm going to put it here. And then in this diamond, I haven't exactly decided what yet, but it's going to be a very bright color to counter the pastelness of this color. Oops, kind of miss some right there. Okay, so I guess this whole thing is going to be outlined in the light pink. I hadn't really thought about that, but I think it'll be okay. I will be going for a very dark color for the background. I'm leaning toward purple right now. I think this will be cool. Yeah. So that, and I can't remember if I said it already or not, but Laura, this was a suggestion from Laura. And it has been challenging to work through this, but it has also been a lot of fun. I can't even tell you how many times I drew out the pattern and erased it, and drew it out and erased it. The one egg, the poor little egg, it actually ended up taking the dye, and I was surprised because I had washed it off so many times. I did graph it on paper, but it wasn't making sense to me because of the shape of the egg, and this being flat and the egg being round. My brain was just not, it just wasn't comprehending it. It was trying real hard. There might have been smoke coming out of my ears, but I ended up, I had to do it on the egg. And then once I did it on the egg, I was able to graph it on the paper. Go figure. Anyway, it worked. It's been fun to do this. And the other version where we draw the pattern above and below the equator line rather than on the equator line, that one's a lot of fun too. So I'm looking forward to sharing that one. So I'm going to go around and do that. I will also do that at the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to dye it in my next color, which I am, will either be raspberry or pink. And those are Ukrainian Gift Shop colors. We'll see what I decide. So I decided to go with pink from Ukrainian Gift Shop. Another color that is similar to this is magenta fireweed from Ukrainian Accessories. All right, so all I'm going to do on this, I say all, this will take a little bit of time, but I am going to fill in this area in here. So all of this area. Little overlapping circles, doing my very, very, very best to completely fill in the area. Now I'm doing a nice, I shouldn't say nice, I'm I'm doing an even color pattern. You could put whatever colors you want in all these bands. You could have made these little spaces all the way up there in them. That is what is so fun about this pattern, is that you can adapt it any way you want. I would say, I would recommend that you think about your colors ahead of time. If you have some colors that are going to require a lot of wash back, like let's say you want to put some red and some blue and some orange in there, and so some of those colors you can layer over the top of each other, and some of them you'll need to wash the egg back. If you don't want to wash the egg back, you can use these little things that I have been using, and I love using them. It's called a micro brush. I think it's like a dental tool, but it's got this little spongy thing on the area, and it's you get a lot of control when you're filling in spaces. So if you just want to add a little bit of space or a little bit of color, in particular while the egg is white, those are really good. They work well with just the regular dyes, or if you've made up concentrated dyes, they work with that too. And because it's a little like spongy thing on the end, but it's real small, you get pretty good control over it. Now, I haven't had it run down the side of the egg like I have had happen when I use a paintbrush. Now, that's not to say that it wouldn't. You want to be, it's always easier to add more dye than to clean up a spill. So, that would be my recommendation if you use those, is, put a little bit on there. You can always add a little bit more, but they really work. They work great. I love using them. Very versatile. Okay, well, I got a lot of filling in here to do. And then once I get all that done, the next color I'm going to use is light green. And I just talked about wash back. So when you go from warm to cool, so warm colors, red, yellow, orange, cool colors, blue, purple, green. But there's some exceptions. I wouldn't put purple over the top of green. But I'm going to use light green for my next color. Now, I don't know why. It's obviously in the chemical composition of the colors. But if your egg is pink, and I have only tested this on Ukrainian Gift Shop colors, so I can't say how it would work on Ukrainian accessories or Pasanki USA colors. It might work exactly the same, but I don't know. So just word of caution. If you have dyed your egg in the pink, in the Ukrainian Gift Shop pink, you can put it in Ukrainian Gift Shop light green without washing it back, and it will turn light green. It will take a couple minutes, and it doesn't really do anything to the light green dye, not that I've noticed. So that is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do the light green, and then I will be doing a wash back and using something purple for my final color, unless I decide to use a dark green. And I could do that too. So I haven't decided that yet. Or I could do black. All I know now is what the next color is going to be, and it's going to be light green. Okay, we'll be back with a light green egg. And here we have our light green egg. So the areas I'm going to cover with wax now. And again, I'm still using my Luba's electric with the medium tip. So I'm going to fill in this area right here and right here. And then I'm going to do that. Oops. Oh well. Okay. We'll just do all these. I had a different color scheme or pattern in mind, but this will work nicely too. This is a really pretty cross-like design, but then when I was looking at it with these 8 coming out of here, I had visions of a spider, like the spider legs, and then that's a spider body. I'm not a real big fan of spiders. I know they're good for a lot of things and catch a lot of bugs, and I just prefer that they stay in their outdoor space and leave my indoor space alone. If I can, I just shoo them back outside. But sometimes they don't want to cooperate. Okay. Like sometimes oh, look at that. Ugh. All that was inside my kistka. No wonder it wasn't writing very well. Those are called dental brooches. I bought a package of them. They work very well. I bought the extra super duper fine. I didn't really need to buy anything that fine because it doesn't go through the kistka this way. You have to go through the top. And because I keep my workspace covered with white tissue paper, that size comes with the little white on the end. And so when you drop them on your workspace here, they're kind of hard to see. So the other sizes come with different colors. I would recommend getting like a different color just so you could see it. But they work very well to go inside your kistka and pick up lint in that. They are very sharp and they have little barbs on them. So, you can easily get poked with them. I might be saying from experience. Okay, so we got that one. So I'm going to go around the rest of them, filling all that in. I am going to plug it with wax. Let me show you how I plug it with wax. I don't know if I've ever done that one. Okay, I need a piece of wax. Okay. I had a whole bunch of little pieces of wax all over my desk, and now when I want one, I can't find one. So I will take out a brand new piece of spaghetti wax. Maybe I used up all my little pieces. I doubt it. And I pinch off just a little bit, like that. And kind of roll it around in my fingers. It warms up a little bit. And I smush it into a little ball shape. And then I put it over the hole. Now, obviously, if you're using a full egg, you don't need to worry about this. And then I'm going to take my fine kistka and I go around it. And I kind of use the side of the kistka. And I want to melt that over the hole. Yes, there will be a little green rim around all of this at the end, but it's on the bottom, or I could attach a hanger to it. You want to make sure you go all the way around it, right like that. Okay. And if I did that properly, I will not get dye inside my egg. Okay, so I'm going to go around and do this, and I'll do it on the top and the bottom. I'm going to wash it, and then I will dye it in purple. I was leaning at first toward dark green, but I think I want the purple in there. All right, we'll be back. And here we have it, our bright and beautiful wedding circle inspired design. I like the way it turned out. I really do. This was fun. Okay, I'm looking forward to exploring this design and the other one that I did last week more. And I am going to be doing that. So next week, we're going to be drawing the other pattern, which I don't now have handy with me. We're going to draw a version of the one that was on the 8 grid, doing it up above and below. And then the following week, we'll do this one above and below. And then I have an idea I want to try. I've been wanting to try doing jewelry on some ostrich egg pieces of shell. I'd like to try these 2 patterns on that to see how it works out. Anyway, but this is fun. Thank you, Laura, for the inspiration. And I'm looking forward to working with this some more. Happy egging, everyone.